What did I even see this week? Besides Uncut Gems, I saw Black Christmas and the new Jumanji movie. We gotta talk Jumanji, yeah. All right.
Oh.
All right, so for segment 2, we're talking Jumanji then, right? What's that? Just the Rock filmography in general?
Oh, God. The worst podcast ever.
Do you mean there's so many? That's why you were like, oh, man, so much to talk about.
They have so much manure.
Such a hater.
Hard.
Clear mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, I just frown every time I see him come into a frame.
That's such bullshit.
It was like that before he was an actor. Like when I used to like wrestling, and every time he came on the screen, I was like, oh God, geez, why the hell is this person alive?
Were you cheering with your rock hard erection whenever Steve Austin showed up, though?
Yeah, I couldn't wait for Steve Austin to just come kick his ass.
Oh my God, he just shotgunned that beer, Dad. Yeah, he's got a bum leg. Look at him with that knee brace. So cool. He's got a vest but no shirt underneath.
Yeah, and he kicks his boss and gives him the stone cold stunner.
Yeah, his can of whoop ass. WWF. I was never under the impersonation. No, I was never under the impression that it was real. And it was so weird watching that growing up, because I was like, what is going on? Like, if they're really serious, why are they walking up to each other in underwear and stuff? Like, why aren't they wearing more clothes? Like, it's really weird.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm if you've made it past like the age of 7 or 8 still thinking that wrestling was real, you should have been sterilized.
Well, it must be, like, right? There must be some people out there that still believe that shit's real. Because nowadays the theatrics have gotten much better, and then there's all the fake blood everywhere now. I think they've done it much better. The acrobatics and stuff, like, some of these guys are crazy, man, doing all these crazy flips and jumps, and I'm sure some of them actually do break bones, but how many of them are caught on camera, I'm not sure. But
I think that makes it look even less real.
Oh gosh,
somebody tries, somebody in a street fight's trying to give you a leg scissors and toss you around. That's not going to work really well. You're going to get your ass kicked.
That's where they started. Okay, they started doing street wrestling. Do you remember all those weird spin-off ones? There was one like ECW.
Oh yeah, ECW was I used to like ECW because they did all the real crazy, like stab people in a ring type gimmicks.
Yeah, they were really rugged.
No, there's one. The Japanese were the worst. Their matches, like people were like almost dying.
What?
There's if you remember Mick Foley.
Yeah.
This is back in his Cactus Jack days.
Yeah.
And he was wrestling another guy named Terry Funk, who has been a wrestler for decades. His whole family was in wrestling. But they did a Japanese death match where instead of ropes, it was all barbed wire. They had boards with little explosives and barbed wire. So when you got thrown into the boards, there was a little explosion. And they're catching each other on fire, falling off a ladder into strung up barbed wire.
Oh,
it's like obviously everything was scripted, but they were really like almost killing themselves to pull the show off.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's just insane.
Wait,
like they're really
that
getting
stuff
hurt.
That was real? Like you're saying it was actually real, or just the theatrics looked real, more real than
no? They're really getting hurt. The fight between them was all choreographed and stuff,
right.
But they were doing stuff to really hurt themselves.
I don't know, that's gross.
So it's almost like a sadomasochist theater.
Yeah. They're doing it for our pleasure.
Yes.
All right. Okay, well, so for this segment, we are going to talk about Uncut Gems, starring Adam Sandler, released this year, but wide release, I think it's still coming up, the 24th, 23rd?
Yeah, last week was limited release, and yeah, it's like a Christmas release for everybody else.
So let's start off with your rating. What did you rate it?
I rated this a 6.5.
Yeah, you're a half point probably more generous than I was.
Yeah, it's directed by the Safdie brothers, who they did a film called Good Time that I really liked with Robert Pattinson. But it was a really good film, so I was really hyped to see this. And all the critics, and you know, you give me shit sometimes because I side with the critics a lot, not with the audience. But this film is getting a lot of acclaim.
It is.
I don't understand it. Adam Sandler, I think, did a passable job, but people are talking about how masterful he was. But the story is about a jeweler who is
a Jewish jeweler.
A Jewish jeweler.
Fast.
Yeah, but he's addicted to gambling, so he's in huge debt. And he gets this black uncut opal. That is his way to get out of all this debt. And it's just Adam Sandler's character is just a steady stream of really bad decisions. But the kinetic energy of the film it's crazy. The pacing is like balls to the wall. But in my opinion, having that type of pacing took away from any character development. And I know on the Facebook group you said he had no redeeming qualities.
Nope.
And my buddy Saturnin said, "Hey, why do you need to have? Who says he needs to have that?" And I would normally agree with Saturnin because I think a lot of people they don't like movies when everybody's a piece of shit. I can like a movie like that, but I feel in this particular film, it would have made a lot more sense, and I think would have worked better if they made him flawed, but also gave him some kind of good qualities, which he doesn't have.
Yeah. I was going to say, with the opal thing, how you were saying to pay off his debts, I'm not sure he was looking to pay off his debts. I think he just wanted to be rich. Yeah. Because at certain points when he does acquire enough money to cover debts, he uses that in a risky gamble or wager to attempt to triple that money because, you know, he feels so safe in that. And, you know, again, like you said, if it can go wrong, it does go wrong for him. And, you know, I guess I didn't like him, but I certainly felt sorry for him at some points in the way that you would feel sorry for a drug addict who kind of just keeps going back to it because that's just the life that they're used to or the life that they knew. But yeah, I didn't feel bad in the way that I cared about him. So it was difficult for me to stay not focused, but just for me to stay involved with this character because it was just like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Why the hell should I care about him? Like, he's just like, whatever. Like, yeah, you made another bad decision. You had that shit tied down. You could have done it. You didn't do it. Oh, well, you're just a fuck up. Like, it's just, I was just more pissed off at this guy. And you said you liked the soundtrack.
No, I hate.
Oh, you hated the
sorry. I think it's the worst one of the year.
I feel like that was intentional.
The score and the soundtrack.
I feel it was intentional to keep you in that level of anxiety because I didn't realize it until the movie is done, but I was just like, my anxiety level was like mid to high range the whole movie. It just would not let up, and not in a comfortable way where you're like so interested in the movie, like, oh yeah, on the edge of my seat action kind of thriller. I was just annoyingly at this level. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the mouths in those movies. Every time there was more than one or two people in a scene, oh, they're just talking on top of each other and like, it's charming a couple times when it's like family banter and there's something funny going on. It's every damn scene. There's more than two people. They are just constantly talking over each other, like nobody had any direction about whose turn it was to talk, and it's so grating and annoying. And oh god, I could not wait for it to finish. I checked my watch so many times. I was like, oh my god, how much more? It's like, cannot believe this isn't done yet. It
Well,
was just really annoying.
The first 20 minutes, like where it's just the first 20 minutes, you have no idea what's going on, and it's just constant movement. And then you have this loud score that makes they're already talking over each other. Then they add this very harsh score in there, which makes it even harder to understand what everybody is saying. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what kind of decision was this? Like, do you not want us to follow what the hell is going on?
Right.
But I think they wanted to build that anxiety.
That confusion.
But I think when you build it at that pace, fatigue sets in.
Yes.
And if you ever see, like, a lot of times very long action sequences, you just get kind of fatigued by it, and it takes away all the tension or the excitability. I think if this movie at certain points slowed down enough, maybe just to do a little character development, I think it would have been a much better film. But it just wanted to go balls to the wall the whole time, and you don't really learn anything about anybody.
Yeah. How many supporting characters did you enjoy? Actually, who was your favorite?
The Let It Go girl was no.
Let It Go? Oh,
Idina
Menzel.
Menzel.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, Let It Go girl.
The Let It Go girl.
She was not necessary, but whatever.
None of them really did anything for. The sad part. I think I like Kevin Garnett the most.
What a great acting career he has ahead of him.
Yeah,
he's gonna make so much money.
Now, I really liked how I really liked the last half hour of the film. I think the way they built tension to go along with the basketball game that he was gambling on, I think that was done really, really well. And it was very, very tense there at the last half hour. So I think that's the high point of the film.
I felt like that was a whole different movie for a moment. It was like everything built up to display this other movie. Because once that started happening, something was different about the scenes, about just how things were playing out. Probably because there were only one or two people talking at a time. Honestly, I feel like the most engaged I felt during the whole movie was when that constant banter and annoying anxiety that he would create constantly, just like upset or anxious, just running around the screen. That made me not want to be involved, but it forced me, obviously. But the scenes where finally they were trapped in there and he was able to just talk, and they just stopped giving a shit about what was going on, or they were kind of just barely watching the TV, and nobody was talking but him. And then we cut to Julia and the Tan Man and that whole thing going on over there. Like, there was finally some peace, and just finally we get to a little bit more intimate with the script and what's going on. And he was actually talking. He was explaining, oh, that's number 1, or that's 20. That's number 20 of the 26 things. And like, he was going through this. I was like, I finally felt like, oh, okay, they care enough to bring me along for the ride. This whole time throughout the movie, I felt like I was just struggling to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, and Martin Scorsese, I think he had part of this. I think he was executive producer. But that last half hour almost was Scorsese-ish. How you have two important timelines. It's going on at the same time, but they're coming together perfectly. because basically what happens is that Adam Sandler's character gets some money, and instead of paying off the loan sharks, um, they're locked inside of his jewelry store. He's having a faulty issue. You know, if anybody's been to, like, especially a New York jewelry store, they usually got to buzz you in, and you're kind of in this room until you can be buzzed in. So he had a faulty lock, and the loan shark and his two goons get stuck in this room. Um, at the same time, right before that, he sends his girlfriend out with this money he should have been paying the loan sharks to go dump was like 165 grand on a basketball game. So you have her. He gets her on a helicopter to go to the closest casino, and you have those two scenes going on simultaneously. She's watching the game. She's kind of getting hit on by creepy dudes, and he's watching the game while these loan sharks are just really pissed off. And I think it comes together really well.
You know what occurred to me? Oh, go ahead. You're still
but the setup to it was just chaotic. But what occurred to you?
Oh, what I forgot, because I was meaning to say that in the group, that scene. Do you remember before when he was talking with his son in the room when we first find out that, oh, he has this bond with his son, basketball, and he tells him that, oh, he's got some money on this game and stuff, and his son says, oh, I got some money on this game. So he's like teaching his son this whole gambling lifestyle. Yeah. And he says to his son, he's like, oh, don't get too excited. It's all about the last 2 minutes. You know how basketball is, or something. He says something like that. And I was like, that was kind of to frame in the last 2 minutes of the movie, too, because everything except for the last 2 minutes really is just this whole cluster F of a movie. And then the final 2 minutes is really when, like, the most drastic things happen. And, oh, well, we're going to talk about it, I guess. We're revealing all this stuff. It's a spoiler review. But, yeah, when he gets shot, because out of nowhere, we know he won. He got all the money and stuff, and he talks to Julia. And then that guy just decides to kill him anyway. And he understood the story. He knew the bet that was going on. He understood that he won it. I was like, why did you just shoot him? Like, it's just...
He's just so pissed off. They had them locked in that little box for the basketball games, usually about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's just so pissed off that he just shoots the guy.
That was such a huge letdown for me. Because, okay, so obviously, like, I was trying to find reviews that were unfavorable to see, like, how many actually agree with me. But most of the people who were favoring this movie, obviously, they were like, oh, you really want him to win. You really want him to score big. I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't give a damn if this guy made any money off his gambling bets. And at the end, when he finally got it, I was just like, oh, great. Like, what did he learn? that if he ends up risking bigger and bigger and bigger amounts, that eventually you're just going to hit it big and everything's going to be perfectly fine. So I guess he deserved it in that way.
Yeah, I like that they killed him.
Yeah, no, I see the purpose in it in that way, in my own way. I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, like there's some scenes in this film that are just not needed. Like Passover. There was no need to have the whole Passover scene.
Just like reinforcing that they're Jewish. Like, what was the reason for some of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know the Safdie brothers are Jewish. Adam Sandler's Jewish.
Okay, so they might just be kind of pushing their culture into the movie more.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that, but it
do you have a problem with that, David?
I don't have a problem with that. And I think I said I was talking in the group with you guys, and I love New York City Jewish culture. I've always it's always fascinated me, and I grew up around it. Some of the funniest people on the planet come out of that culture.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love Jewish culture?
I've almost converted once or twice.
Wait, really? But
But
you on the spot.
I have a lot of friends from that culture, and I've just always been attracted to it. And but the whole Passover scene, it just seemed just to be there. It didn't add anything to the film. Also, the scene with the Weeknd at the club, there was no need for that scene at all.
I didn't understand. Like, yeah, there's certain people that did not. Oh, I always forget his name. The guy from Get Out. I liked his character. His character wasn't bad for a supporting character. Like, he really, oh, man, he was annoying me too. Like, I was like, he did good. I liked his character. That was probably one of the more important supporting characters. I like him. I liked Eric Bogosian. Is that how you pronounce his last name? The brother, Arno.
Yeah.
And Julia. I liked Julia. I mean, she was a pretty simple, one-dimensional, but there was something about her it was very endearing. And it was like the side in the movie that we never got, because there's all this tension, there's all this anger, there's all this money and gambling and like this greed, and she just almost represented this lighter side in his life. And I appreciated whenever she was on scene, even though she was like pretty much shat on for a good majority of the movie. But she just always remained this sort of lighter side of the movie, and I liked her role. It was really nice.
But in the Arno character, I don't understand why they made Adam Sandler's character's name was Howard. Why they made Arno Howard's brother-in-law? It's like it's never really explored too much, and that's kind of what the Passover scene. You kind of learn from the Passover scene that they're related, or by marriage. But it doesn't play anything into the film, it seems.
Not really, right? And I was just like, when I found out they were related, I was like, oh, okay. Like, in what way does this function for the script? Like, why?
Yeah, it's not like it's tearing the family apart, or there's really no underlying issues I've only seen it once, and so I don't know if I maybe miss a nuance or something there, but from my first viewing, it doesn't seem like it mattered at all.
So I'll say the only way, just to defend them, I guess, maybe they wanted his gambling and his addiction and that life. They wanted it to somehow tie uncomfortably with his everyday life. So he always sees Arno at every family event. So it's always in his face that, oh, you owe me money. He knows my lifestyle. He knows what the kind of stuff I do, the illegal stuff I do, or my dirtier habits kind of thing. So like they wanted it to just be always on his mind. So,
the thing that made it, the one thing that made that relationship seem even more unbelievable, because I believe you find out that he's the brother-in-law afterwards, is Howard is at his daughter's play. And as a brother-in-law, even if you have issues and you're having these money issues, it doesn't seem like you would take that to that type of family event, because there's no problem. There's no problem at Passover. So why would you cause all this issues at another family event?
I mean, ideally, I think they weren't intending. They didn't drag him out of there. He invited them outside. So I think ideally he was just trying to keep an eye on him and grab him after the show, in Arno's defense. But yeah, you're right. It was a family thing. And if he's family, why wouldn't he pick a better time to do that and then leave him in the trunk? Like, how is he supposed to explain that to his wife, ex-wife, whatever that situation was going to be? Like, that's, I don't know, like, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Howard's hard to find.
Exactly So
he's at his store
every day. You know where he works. You apparently the bets that he makes, so you know where he goes. They already have him being watched everywhere he goes, and where his daughter has some play. It's like, what? There's no need for those kind of things. You're right.
Yeah. So there's some issues with the script, in my opinion.
Idina Menzel.
Now
or Adele Dazeem.
And I'm still giving it a 6 out of 5, which I don't feel it's a total waste. That there are some redeeming qualities to the
Did you say it's
film.
6 out of 5?
A 6.5. Did I say
That's
six? Six
that's
point
off
five.
the charts, David. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's a 6.5 out of 10. Um, and this is a A24 film.
Oh God Almighty, had to say that.
So it's probably my biggest disappointment of the year, even at a 6.5, because I really had a lot of faith that this was going to be one of the best films of the year.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
you were talking about it months away.
oh yeah, and it seems like a lot of critics out there do think it's one of the best films of the year. Um, but I think in our discussion of it, I also people are talking about Adam Sandler, and anybody who says Adam Sandler is worthy of all of these awards must not watch many films this year.
I don't. Yeah, like, I, I
How could you put him even in the same breath as Joaquin Phoenix and Robert Pattinson
oh no,
and Willem Dafoe?
no, no,
You
no.
can't even put him in the same category.
I would be really surprised and maybe even hurt if I find out that he's in that same category. When do we find out? Because it's not just the night of. How early in
Probably,
advance
yeah,
do they say?
I would think next month sometime.
Okay, like a
But
month.
but
Oh,
but
next. Okay.
but he's not even the best Adam this year. Adam Driver blows him
Oh
away.
yeah, there's another Adam. Is that a category? Best Adam of the
The
year?
best Adam. Yeah, he's not even the best Adam of the year.
Um, I was gonna say also with Arno, they ended up killing him too. So I was like, wait, who who works for who now? Like I was so confused why they killed him. Did I miss something?
Yeah, I don't really understand that because from what it seemed, they didn't seem like they were just hired guns.
Because so in the
It
beginning,
seemed
it
like
seems
they
like they
worked
work
for
for
him.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it seemed like. Didn't seem like he just got some knuckleheads to be mercenaries for him, and they saw an opportunity to make more money. Um, because obviously you would think keeping Adam Sandler alive and then robbing him of all that money would be a lot more chance than robbing the store.
yeah. I mean, I think also Adam Sandler probably wouldn't fought them. Adam Sandler, how he wouldn't have fought them if they just chose to rob the store anyway
Yeah,
and take the money. I mean, I don't think like they're just unnecessarily killing him. And then also, did you notice that they were in that stupid box, the glass in the door situation for 2.5 hours, like you said, for the duration of the basketball game. And then Arnold tries to run over and open the door. You remember?
yeah,
That's just before he gets shot. He just
yeah.
runs over and oh, the door can't be open because you didn't get buzzed through it, and then they shoot him for that. I'm like, what? That was how they were gonna tie up loose ends with this? Like the script, the writers. I mean, I was like, what? Arnold's an idiot.
Also, what would those two weird guys? They look like brothers. The balding. They kind of look like Sideshow Bob.
The,
Like
the shitty loan shark and the shitty muscle for hire by that guy in
it seemed
the
like
windbreakers.
near the end, I guess he sold them like a fake Rolex.
Yeah, he gave.
It-
Oh yeah, you brought up that point in the group, the fake stuff.
yeah, I don't understand. They're just two other characters that really didn't need to be in a movie. They added nothing to the film except for Adam Sandler's character's annoyed when he sees them.
Like I was gonna say, maybe in terms of how in the way that they relate to Adam Sandler, that was someone that he had power over, and he was able to push around just some pushover loan shark guys, and he was able to just like yeah, I don't want to buy your watch back or anything, and he's after he gives him that, and he's like I'm not, you gave me this watch or something, trying to get rid of him. Like they were absolute pushovers, and at no point were they appearing violent. He even like laughed off the muscle for hire that he brings in at one point. But yeah, those guys were just garbage. Like what a waste. Like in actual screen time, maybe 6 minutes. Like
Oh,
get
it's
out of
not
here.
nowhere near that. But the other thing I was confused on, and again because this movie is so fast paced and so jumbled at the beginning, um, he gets his hands on that crucifix with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't. How the hell did he get that?
I didn't understand. I thought maybe one of the girls or something snatched it from that person. I was like, then how do you sell that?
Because did
And I
I
was like,
miss them actually giving that to him? I mean,
yeah. They showed it on the celebrities, from what I recall. They showed it on the celebrity, and he got it from one of the girls, I think.
but
And
then some
handed
that
off.
dude shows up and asks for it back, and that character is just kind of a waste because he doesn't really do anything either.
Wait, who? Which guy?
He was the light-skinned bald guy. He kind of looks like Key from Key and Peele.
Oh, great. Now I have to remember which one is Key. Key is not Peel.
The bald
Key
head
is
one.
Michael. That. Oh, I don't remember that scene very well now.
He's at the club scene, with the Weekend, and I guess he's friends of the Weekend or entourage, but he asked him for that piece of jewelry back, and he's like, yeah, come by, I have it in my safe. And then the guy shows up knocking on the door and he ignores him, and then the guy's gone for the rest of the movie.
There's so many weird things like that. I just didn't understand. I was like, why? What? Why are you doing this? Maybe it was Daniel, your friend Daniel. How do you pronounce his last name? That was another shout out I wanted to say.
Datita, I guess.
Tita. Yeah, Daniel had a lot of good points too, where he was talking about, crap, was it? Oh, the fake Rolexes. Like, does he ever even explain? Like, is his whole business fake? Like, all of a sudden there was some jumpsuit Julia came in, they were selling, and the fake Rolexes. And the Get Out guy, I'm not gonna look up his name just because I like saying Get Out guy. Get Out guy was trying to reclaim his stuff from the safe, and he's like, "Where's all my stuff?" And so he's been just getting loans from the local pawn store, like thousands and thousands of dollars of loans.
Fake Rolexes?
For real stuff. Oh no, yeah. So those were fake, yeah.
Yeah.
But they had real papers and
Yeah.
boxes or something, so that's what made them more legit to sell, I guess. But even that guy knew. The guy at the pawn store, he's like, I don't want any more of your fake Rolexes and stuff, and he knew. So I was like, I don't understand. Like, are they that still worth a lot? Like, just because you can trick people? I was so confused about this industry. Like, there's this. I just wanted a little bit. I wanted to be a little bit more on the inside of what exactly he does.
Well, I guess if you have the papers, you can sell them and trick people out of a lot of money.
That's crazy.
But you would think that if you're selling that out of a store, that would always come back to you.
And that guy, the tool guy who was using the tool, who was like with the drill. So what was he doing? Taking out real gems and putting fake ones in? They never explained what that guy was doing.
No.
Maybe I was supposed to. I felt like maybe I don't know enough about this whole like industry of cheating people and stuff that I'm the one missing out. I was like, there's got to be someone else who was equally confused about these things. It's like never explained what he was doing.
And how is a guy whose profession is to be a jeweler so far off on his estimate on what the uncut jewel is worth?
Was he off, or were they just not willing to set it that high?
I mean, they make money. An auction house makes money off selling things for more because they get a percentage of the cut.
They didn't explain that either.
Well, like, I mean, just if you know how auctions work.
No. Oh, no, sorry, not that. I mean, they didn't explain why. Like you said, why didn't they?
I mean, they're saying it's worth like 150 to 220, and he's thinking it's worth $1 million. We're talking
$3 million.
A huge difference in money. Why the hell didn't he know this?
Well, he said it was because he didn't have time to get his appraiser to do it. And all the time, Kevin Garnett was so in love with that, whatever he was doing every night, humping it before the game. This is the weirdest story. I never would have thought that's what this was about. I thought it was someone's gems, and now he's got to get it back because someone stole. what the hell? Someone's obsessed. And that awkward kind of thing where he's like, oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, you can have it for some time. And then he has to go get it back from Kevin Garnett. And then he ditches him at the court. I was like, what is going on? Why is this happening?
Why would you lend that to anybody?
Oh my God. I don't care if you're Kevin Garnett.
No.
You think this shit is worth $3 million? I don't want your stupid ring. Take your ring. Get the fuck out of here. This is a $3 million rock. I've been waiting 3 months for this. No. He was that big of a basketball fan. Also, that bet, had that bet actually gone through, that would have been his big win, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't have solved all of his problems because that's not what he does. He doesn't solve his problems.
But he just like took the rest of the money and bet on something else.
Yes.
Like I said, I think he wanted to take the money from the gem and pay off his debts, but his compulsion kicked in. So I think maybe his plan was to get away, get out of all the shit that was going on, but his addiction just wouldn't let him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're giving him way too much credit. I don't think his intention was ever, because like he just knew so much about calling all the lines and making all these bets. He was so deep into it, and I'm not even talking about debt. He was just so much in love with the risk and the gambling. I mean, his bet was on 26 events happening in that game, in the end game. He had to get the tip.
Well,
I mean, so many things that were just like 50-50.
What it was, he needed to combine 26 points and rebounds. Well, he needed points and rebounds to equal 26. Mm-hmm. Plus, he needed to win the game. So that's what they were counting down every time like a rebound or a bucket was made. Mm-hmm. He needed to get to 26. Plus, he bet money on the tip-off, which is a pure like 50-50.
Exactly.
Anything can happen bet, so there's no skill in that. It's like almost a coin toss. And then he needed them to win on top of that.
Yeah.
Which I think what it was at the end, he got the biggest high he ever got in his life, because that would have been his biggest win. And then he's dead. So he got to the pinnacle, because you could tell he loves basketball and he wishes he was an athlete. So his way to get that feeling was to make huge, terrible bets. And if he won, he got to feel kind of that feeling of being a winner.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought about that too, and it was like, oh, he finally got that win, and he was so excited, and he was at the top of his game, and he lets them out the door, and then boom. I was like, oh, I guess if that's how you're gonna go, that was a good time to go, I guess,
One of the funniest lines, and I don't think I remember it verbatim, but he was talking about how great gambling is, because it takes a kid from New York who grew up a Knicks fan to be cheering for the Celtics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's in basketball? Knicks fans hate Celtics. It's just how it is.
Well, he died. He died with that new love of his. Kevin Garnett did him wrong.
But the one thing I love about what the Softy brothers do is they are so New York. If you watch Good Times, it's such a New York film, and this film is such a New York film, and it just oozes with that. And I think that's what a lot of the crazy energy is just a reflection of their environment, how New York's just always going. So I like how they put that into their films, but I think in this film it didn't work out for the best.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been maybe even more confused if everything worked out so perfectly for him. Like, oh, okay, this was a great lesson for everyone watching this. That
be a shitbag and you'll be rich and
start gambling. That's how you get anywhere in life.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's how the elite do it, right?
But it was about greed, about shame, about gambling, just like in just the worst ways with this guy. And Adam Sandler, I didn't see
And
anything so new with him. I
they
really
made a
didn't see
big
anything
deal
new.
about him crying.
Oh, gross. I didn't even think that scene was so good.
No,
It was so bad.
it
The way
wasn't.
he was crying was like really laughable too. It's like, what? He's like,
I was just waiting for him to like bust out like, "Don't look at me, Swan."
yeah. No, I mean, it was, gosh, that was, I don't know how to explain it, but I did not feel for him. Like, I didn't, like, I get that he was frustrated. Like, I understood the emotion, but, I don't know. Was that the only take they had of it? Like, I don't know. That might have been the highlight of the worst of it. Just like, I don't know. And now I'm second guessing whether we should have even done this segment because we're just constantly shitting on this movie.
Well, there are some redeemable factors, and the fact that it does make you uneasy and anxious,
Yeah, I know.
that is powerful for it to be able to do that. Now, some people might like that feeling, and I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh man, I feel like I need a Xanax after watching this movie," but I love that. um, but it's it's original. It's not derivative of much I've seen out there. So they are trying to do something different, and in my opinion, um, it's an average film, but they tried.
Yeah, what was their previous movie? Good Time, right? I have to see
Good
that
time.
one. You said you liked that one. I'm
Yeah,
gonna give that one a try
and
before
in
I
the
give up on these
A24
guys.
in the A24 group, somebody posted, um, "Who's better, Adam Sandler and Uncut Gems, or Robert Pattinson in Good Time?" Um, and that was almost a laughable question because Robert Pattinson um, is English, and
Hmm.
he does a better New York accent than Adam Sandler. So it's not even a comparison. If you watch Good Time, you'll and it's a very fast paced film like this, but it's not as noisy.
Hmm.
This film was very noisy and
Yeah.
very busy. Um, but hey, some people will really like that. It seems me and you are in the minority compared to a lot of critics because it's what in the high 90s
Oh
on
my God, it was 95 last I saw.
Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see. Um, Wikipedia. I'm not on Rotten Tomatoes, but Wikipedia has it at 92% out of 135 reviews.
Rotten
Um,
Tomatoes.
almost
Let's see.
at an average almost 8.5 average out of 10.
Rotten Tomatoes says 92% on the tomato meter and an 87% with the audience score.
Um,
Uh,
That's strong. That's really did get
yeah.
almost that close of a consensus between the audience and the critics is strong. Also, Metacritic has it at an 89, which is a really high score. And Cinema Score, they do the audience poll after
Hmm.
people come out, has an A minus. So we're definitely in the minority with what we think about the film.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm not
And
looking
I'm
to,
fine with that too.
yeah, you
And
know.
and again, I had it hyped up in my brain, so
I mean, I was, yeah, just from you, I was expecting a lot. No, 824. How often am I going to hear that in my lifetime? We'll see how long this podcast lasts. But that's, I was just like, oh, it's probably going to be good because it's supposed to be a serious role. And, we were talking up Adam Sandler in serious roles. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe I set my bar too high. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I don't know.
he was much better. Was it Rain on Me or was it Rain Over Me?
Reign over me, I think.
I think he was much better in that film because he plays kind of a crazy dude.
Yep, reign over me. Oh yeah, with Don Cheadle.
Yeah, he was better in Funny People.
Well, I definitely like Funny People better than this.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorite
That's
movies, but
that's kind of like a hybrid comedy drama. It's like the first half is really comedy, the second half is drama. But Rain Over Me is a much better performance by Adam Sandler. So if you want to see him at his best, don't go to this film. Go to that one.
Reign, REIGN, Over Me, 2007.
Yeah. And Don Cheadle. It's always good to see a movie with Don Cheadle when it's not a Marvel film.
But hey, I don't think he's so great as War Machine. I wish they still kept Terrence Howard, but I think his acting would have been way over budget. And if you had Terrence Howard and Robert Downey and who else? There was like if you look
at Howard demands a lot more money than Don Cheadle.
Yeah, that was the reason that they fired him. I remember that being the reason.
Oh, really?
He wanted more money
because he's popular on TV.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was following that I guess that he went into Empire and all that. But yeah, he wanted more money, and they were like, nope.
Yeah, so acting chops, he's nowhere near Don Cheadle, in my opinion.
Just don't like. I don't know. Have
you ever seen Hotel Rwanda?
Yeah, I liked it. That was a good movie.
Oh God, that's one of those movies that makes me cry.
Yeah. No, that was hard to watch.
All right, well, that is our take on Uncut Jewels. So
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems. Uncut Jewels.
Got a 6.5 out of 5.
So if we average it, Coast2Coast Film Reviews gives it a 6.25.
Oh, you know what Jess was saying? She was like, unintentionally, this is what it ended up being anyway, the idea. It's like if we should have our own rating system. So we have like how you just said an average. So for plot, we rate it like on a 1 to 5, acting on a like whatever 1 to 10 something, and then we average that out. We like agree on a number, and then we average that out, and then we have a Coast2Coast rating. So the show has its own like rating scale for each movie. Like when we do specials or something, we'd have to come to some kind of agreement on how we figure out that stuff.
Get a little math formula together.
Oh God, math. We do math on this show.
I am actually really good at math, but on this show, I guess because it's usually like 1 a.m. here, my brain doesn't work as well.
That's fine with editing. If I try to edit way too late, I'm just listening, and then I realize I wasn't listening, and then I wake up. I was like, oh shoot, I have to rewind 30 minutes. It's like, oh no. And then I have to hear you say the same thing over and over like 10 times. I keep falling asleep.